is obvious that a lot of people are worrying about what power sharing means. But what people did not understand, and perhaps they do not understand, is that this power sharing between two communities in the context of a bicommunal, bizonal federation does not concern the governmental powers as we know them today. This power sharing only concerns the competences, that is to say, the powers of the federal government, nothing more, nothing else. And these powers will be perhaps 5% of the powers as we know them today to exist. Therefore, if today we are living in a dysfunctional state, unfortunately, and we can tolerate the whole situation, it appears that people have a lot of patience, in any event, with politicians. Clearly, any dysfunctionality of the in the federal state will not concern and will not affect everyday life, will not affect the quality of everyday life. So, at the end of the day, this dysfunctionality will concern powers which are not so near to the people at the local level, and therefore will be more tolerable, by far more tolerable than they are today.
In federalism, shortly, each community will have its own administration, regional administration or provisional administration. They will rule themselves autonomously in their region. But in addition to this provisional or regional administration, there will be a common or federal state where the two communities will be represented, and this representation will be both proportional and equal. There is equality in federal systems, and in order to emphasize this equality, the regional or constituent entities will have the same legal status and will exercise their powers autonomously from the central government and from each other. So each regional government, which will be controlled by a specific community, will have specific powers, and the other powers, political powers, will be exercised by the federal or central government. I think now in both sides, people know these minimum requirements of the federal system, and when the two sides manage to agree on its establishment, because now there is a division in Cyprus, and in order to actually overcome the negative consequences of this division, the only possible way is to accept and implement federal principle.
Well, local governments are the lowest level of government in any country and deliver some of the most essential services that citizens rely on, everything from clean water to garbage collection to the basic amenities that make life livable. And federalism is about multi-level government. And in this context, there are certain functions that local government, being closest to the people, are most responsive about. And in that context, I think it's important to have strong local governments, because it also provides a certain amount of legitimacy to multi-level systems when you have strong elected local governments. Well, Cyprus, I think, is as you probably know, is a very highly urbanized country. And certainly on the southern side of the island, I understand that there are 39 local governments. Some of them are probably too small to have any expertise, but I think it's very important when there is settlement, if there is a federal settlement, to ensure that there is a lot of legitimacy there, and therefore I think strong elected local governments that deliver services serve as a very important bedrock of underpinning this new structure, but also having strong, effective local governments ensures that the citizenry is much better served by responsive government, rather than having to higher level entities that have some sort of what I would call representational function in terms of service delivery, because for the average citizen, federalism or any form of government is about access to services. We realize that in any system you can't have a single solution for the entire country, and this is where responsive local government is very important for ensuring the services that citizens receive are tailored to their own needs.
The people in the Greek Cypriot community who accept federation are actually on the increase. So compared to research 2 years ago, we now find a 10% increase in the people who support federation, and this is now up to 65%. 65% was also registered in a research just published today, the European Social Survey, which is a comparative study taking place every 2 years. And we had the chance to present this because the University of Cyprus was involved in fieldwork. And today we actually showed that the number of people supporting federation is indeed increasing. I think this is something to keep in mind. And the second finding, which I think is also very crucial, is that more than 70% of the Greek Cypriot population is rejecting a two-state solution or partition of Cyprus. So these are the two major findings I think are well, are important to discuss publicly, because I think there are many people, especially in the media, in both communities, attempting to present a picture that the two communities actually do not want to live together. So I think knowing the facts about how people really think about bizonal bicommunal federation and two-state solution is quite important.